Hello and a very warm welcome to you. I'm Lily Riley and I'm happy to have you here for another book review. Now you're in for such a special treat because today we're going to talk about The Girl You Left Behind by Jojo Moyes. It's an absolutely heartbreaking love story. Actually, there are two love stories 100 years apart and connected through a picture. So you're getting two stories in one book. Are you ready? As always, the order is basic. We begin with the bullet points, then we talk about the author, we get into the story, and at the end I give you my impression and the conclusion. So let's begin. The Girl You Left Behind by Jojo Moyes is a romance novel for an adult readership. It was published 2012 by Penguin Books and has 560 pages. Actually, this one is the second part of a two-part series. The first part is called Honeymoon in Paris. It's a story about Sophie and Edouard. But you will understand this story even without part one. If you like this story, you also might like The Lady in Gold by Anne-Marie O'Connor. So this to the bullet points. Let's go to the author, Jojo Moyes. Jojo Moyes was born in August 1969 in London, and she was named after a man's song about in the Beatles song Get Back, because her parents were such big Beatles fans and they heard the song and thought, oh, what a beautiful name, and that's why she's called Jojo. She studied at Royal Holloway University of London, and then she won a scholarship from the newspaper Independent to study journalism at City University, and then went on to work for the Independent for 10 years. In 2001 she became a full-time novelist, and 3 years later she was awarded from the Romantic Novelist Association for her book Foreign Fruits. She's also the author of the book Me Before You, and this book was made into a movie starring Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin. And if you
I don't want you to miss all the things that someone else could give you.
I can make you happy. I have become a whole new person because of you.
Do you know something, Clark? You are pretty much the only thing that makes me want to get up in the morning.
Wait for me to come home.
And just recently, I think another book called The Last Letter from Your Lover was also made into a movie. And this is also a love drama starring Shailene Woodley, Callum Turner, Joe Alvin and Felicity Jones. Jojo Moyes is married to the journalist Charles Arthur, and they have 3 children. Yeah, this is about everything I can tell you about Jojo Moyes in a nutshell. Let's move on to the story. Based on the book title, I first thought this story is about a boy leaving his girlfriend, but it is anything but. It's about 2 love stories and 2 strong women separated by a century and connected through a picture. The first story is set in France at the time of the First World War, and the second place in the present time in London. The story opens with the past. We are in 1916 in Saint-Péron. This is a village in the northeastern part of France, and World War I rages. The village is occupied by the enemy Germans, and people are exposed to the arbitrariness and ruthlessness of the intruders. They desperately try to carry on while depression, curfew, illness, and above all, incredible hunger afflicts them. And it's with this feeling we meet the protagonist, Sophie Lefebvre. Actually, the introduction to her is her dreaming of food. She is a young French woman who runs a hotel together with her sister, and both of their husbands are fighting for France at the front. so they are all alone together with the children. Then a German commandant and his soldiers are inspecting the hotel. He says, "We were informed that you are hiding a pig here." And Sophie, despite her paralyzing fear, impudently lies into his face and goes, We do not have a pig here. Who told you that?" Because Sophie is a strong woman and she faces the Germans. And while inspecting the hotel and searching it for the pig, the commandant's eye falls on a picture that shows a young woman. It is Sophie before the war. It contrasts dramatically with how Sophie looks now, emaciated and sick from months of starvation. The picture was painted by her beloved husband Edouard, a student of the Matisse Academy in Paris, and it's all she has left of him. This picture is so precious to her because it reminds her of the happy times she had when she was a saleswoman in pre-war Paris and met Edouard, an aspiring and coveted artist who was ensnared by all the women, and while he was painting her portrait, they fell in love. Later, when Sophie and her sister have to cook for the German soldiers, they are confronted with reproaches from the villagers, and soon they become even more suspicious, for it so happens that the German commandant, like Sophie, seems to be very interested in art, and they both find access to each other through this. It becomes obvious that he is fond of Sophie. This puts her in an insane conflict because she misses her husband and she loves him more than anything, and she hates the enemy more than anything. But soon she sees the commandant not only as an enemy, but as a human being. He is absolutely fascinated by her portrait and the woman she represents. And now this painting is supposed to save her husband Edouard, who is now stuck in a German war camp. Sophie would do anything to get him released, so she offers the painting to the commandant in exchange for Edouard's freedom, and also makes a big mistake, risking her reputation and being scorned. She then is arrested by the Germans, and we remain unaware of what happened to her for a long time. This is part 1 of the book. In the second part, we learn more about her fate. It is unwound by events in the present, where Liv, a Londoner, follows her fate. Liv is grieving her husband, who unexpectedly died 4 years ago. She was given a painting by him on her honeymoon. It's called Jeune Femme by Edouard. It's clear it's Sophie. And this painting is her most important possession. Like Sophie, it reminds her of happy times and is the last memento of her husband. By an unfortunate coincidence, it seems as if Liv will lose this painting because it is now very precious and listed as war booty stolen in World War I and is to be returned to Edouard's family. In order to keep this painting, Liv sacrifices everything, her money and even her own happiness, with her new boyfriend Paul. In the bitter fight for this painting, we learn layer by layer what happened to Sophie back then after she was arrested by the Germans. This is everything I tell you about the story. Let's move on to my impression. Now first let's start with the things I liked. I like the dual storyline. I think it's perfect for this book. And also how it is structured. Like the past tense is written in the first person perspective past tense, and the present is written in the third person perspective present tense. I think this gives a very good breakdown of the events of the time. And I also like how flashbacks are used to create contrasts, to the present. Then the language is very sensual with multi-layered, true-to-life characters. You have them right in front of you and are right in the middle of the action with them. I could feel the gnawing hunger and the coldness. It is very well described. We are immersed in contemporary events and experience with Sophie the horror of war and its collateral damage. It is very well described, and through this subtle narration we also experience this lurking atmosphere of hatred, envy, hopelessness and general distrust in times of war and occupation. This added to the heavy touch. Then I also liked the character Sophie, with her unconditional love for her husband, that she will do anything to save him, her strong nature and her belief in the good in people. This brings her very close. She's just a sympathetic character. The excitement is also contributed by the fact that Sophie's fate stops in the middle of the story at a cliffhanger, and we only slowly learn more about what happened to her through the narrative in the present when Liv unfolds her fate. I think this creates an insane amount of suspense. And usually I don't like open endings in books, but here I thought it is perfect because it's up to your imagination how the story goes on, and it adds something light to the whole thing. So here I really liked it. Yeah, that's to the things I found good. Let's move on to the things I didn't like so much. I found it a bit difficult to get into the story, but if you stick with it, it sucks you in. I can guarantee you that. Then I had my little problems with the character Liv. To me, she wasn't as sympathetic as Sophie. She wasn't that close. I don't know why. Maybe it's the perspective, like it's written in a third-person perspective. Maybe this brings more distance to the character. Maybe also because Sophie is so incredible, realistic painted that Liv fails to keep up with that. Her life is just not that interesting. I thought she acted stubborn in an unbelievable way, and she even annoyed me at times. It's more created to fit the story, this second part of the book. Yeah, that's why I think here the story could be shortened and more condensed, because actually I was only interested in what Liv finds out about what happened to Sophie. Anyway, let's go to the conclusion. This book has a wonderful language and is very sensitively told. It's about hope, love, betrayal and loss, and Jojo Moyes plays with these great emotions. I was completely at her mercy. This book is also about strong women who overcome obstacles in their life, and also about the power of art to hold its fascination for centuries. This incredible narrative style kept me reading the book. It is a page turner and it made me cry. I enjoyed this book. I could imagine everything so well, this village, so much that one day I even would like to go to Saint-Péron to see if it's like in my imagination. Hopefully we can do these things again soon. Until then, we have to use our imagination. So, for who is this book? This book is, I think, especially a woman's book. It's for women who like historical love stories. So I think it's a perfect gift for Christmas, maybe. Yeah, here we are again. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with me. And I wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy new year. See you in the new year. Bye.